Hello everybody. In this screencast, we're going to look at requesting permissions in Android, specifically requesting permissions at runtime. So we did look previously at requesting permissions, like for example, permissions that are not required in runtime. For example, the internet permission, right? So the internet permission, we just add it to the manifest and we're good to go. There are some permissions that require you to request these permissions at runtime and also include them in the manifest. So let's say we want the camera permission. So basically we have to go in first into your manifest and add the camera permission. So basically we go here and say uses permission and camera, and here we are. So we added the camera permission. Now, in order to be able to use the camera permission, we have to ask for it at runtime. Okay, so now also I have multiple emulators here to show you how the permission window looks for the different versions of Android. So we'll look at that also. So now, before we ask for permission, the first step is to check to see. I need to check to see, do I have permission, right? Do I have permission already, right? So basically, in order to do that, you need to check to see if you have permission or no. So let's create a method here that returns a boolean. Has camera permission, right? So basically I could start by just checking to see if I have the camera permission or no, right? So and it will return true and false. So let's say it returns a boolean, and let's make it a private. All right, so basically we want to return to check. The method is called check self permission, and you pass it a string value of the permission. So basically here it is, and then to get the string value of the permission, you do manifest dot permission dot camera permission is equal to, and you want to check to see if it's granted or no. So there is the package manager dot granted, if the permission is granted. So basically all what I did is to check to see if I have the camera permission or no. I'll use the check self permission method and compare it to if it's granted or no. So basically I could go here, I check to see if do I have the permission. So if I have the permission, so basically if do I have that permission, then I will go ahead and use the camera. So here I will just go ahead and use the camera, right? So maybe I'll put a toast and say toast dot I'll say, for example, have the camera already, camera permission granted already, right? So basically I have the camera permission. So basically now here I could go ahead and use the camera. Else now I need to request the permission. So now what I will do is I'll follow the exact steps that Android recommends. So if you look here, it says that in your application you need to add the permission in the manifest. Now you check to see if the permission is granted already or no, right? Now check whether to see if a rationale or no. So basically we'll look at rationale and how to request the permission and so on, right? So now we already checked to see, do you have the camera permission or no, right? Now how do I request permission? So basically what I will do is, it is very similar to using the launcher approach for moving or showing another intent, right? So it's very similar, but in that case the launcher is request permission. So let's see how to do that. Private activity result launcher, and here it's of type string, which is the permission itself, and then I'll say, for example, request permission launcher equal register. Okay, here it is, and new, and what I'm going to do is this one, which is the request a permission comma, and then here you need a new callback, new activity callback, and here it is. So basically that's what you will use, and basically you see here the result is a boolean, and this is called, we'll call it is granted, right? So basically it's a boolean to tell you if the permission is granted or no. So now in order to request the permission, all we have to do is just, in order to request that permission, all we have to do is launch this launcher, right? So I'll do that, but before I do that, I would like to show you something else. So basically in Android, you also have to check to see if you need to show the rationale. So basically, there is an idea of a rationale where you explain to the user, you show a pop-up to the user explaining why do you need this permission. For example, you are asking for the camera permission. Why are you asking for the camera permission? So in order to do that, we check to see if should request rationale, and you see it returns a boolean, right? And you pass it the permission string. So we'll do that. The permission string is what we used here, which is this. This is the permission string. Okay. If you need to do that, we are going to do something. Otherwise, we're going to do something else. So basically, if the user clicks, right, and you should show the rationale. Else, if you don't need to show the rationale, I'll just go ahead and launch the permission. So in order to launch the permission or to request the permission, I'll say the request launcher dot launch, and I pass it the permission that I'd like to launch, manifest dot permission dot camera. That's the permission I'm requesting. So this is how you request the permission. Now here, if you are going to show them for example, to show them a rationale, we need to show a dialog and explain to them why do you need a rationale. I have here created a custom dialog method. We just use the builder to create a dialog and so on. Straightforward, just to avoid me writing all of this. So show custom dialog, and then this is the title, and this is my message, right? And then this is the, let's say, the OK button. And then this is a new dialog here, and then you have the cancel button, and let's say I don't have anything to do with regard to the negative listener. So anyhow, so here is this. Now what I'm going to do is, after the user is shown the rationale, I'll just ask for the permission. Okay. Now if it is needed. Okay. So let's see how we are going to do this. Now the title is, this is the camera permission. And then basically the message I'm going to say, we need this app. Okay, this app needs the camera permission to enable you to store or to store photos to your profile, something like that. Okay, so basically that's it. Now let's see what's going to happen. So I would also like to show you here. You see here you have if it's granted. So I'll go in and say if is granted, then I'm going to do something here. This means that I can go ahead and use the camera, right? Else, we'll look at else. This means that log d, this means that it is not granted, right? Not granted, right? Here we are, and we go here, let's say a demo, and here this is not granted, and this is granted, right? So I'll just go in and show you this. Okay, all right, so basically let's look back at the wiring of what we're trying to do here. Has the camera, we first when you click the button, there's a button on the screen you will see when I run this app. So I'll run it first in version, let's say 24. So this is Android version 24, which is a little bit earlier version. You go in here, and basically there is a button. When you click the button, it will trigger this on-click listener. Basically we check to see do you have the permission or no, and that's how we do the check. Now if you don't have the permission, then it will go here and it will check to see do I need to show the rationale. Usually the rationale is shown, you are required to show the rationale if the user denied the permission once. Then the rationale will come back as true, right? Different versions of Android have different expectation. We'll look at version 24 now. So basically I click on request the permission. There it is. And it asks me, what do you want to do? Let's look at the logcat. Here it is. And this is version 24. I'll delete this. I'll say, for example, let's say I deny. So basically you see when I click on I deny, it goes to here and it prints not granted, right? So basically I deny, right? Now run it again. I click again. Now you see the rationale is showing because I denied it once, right? I'll click on OK. It shows it here. Let's say I click on deny, and here we are. It's not granted. So then I click on it again. Click OK. You see here there is don't ask me again. What if I click on don't ask me again and I click on deny? Now I said don't ask me this again. When I click on this again, you see that it's not showing the pop-up. What is going on is that it comes here, you don't have the permission, it goes here, should show rationale is false, and then it goes here and it tries to show the permission, request the permission, but it directly goes to not granted. You see here, not granted. So now in here also, let's say when we are coming in here, I want to see what is the do I have to show the rationale. So basically the rationale is this should show rationale will be true if you don't click don't show again, right? So let's say let's do a log d here, and here should show rationale and demo. So let's have a look. So I'll clear this. I'd like to reset the state of this app. So what I will do is I will delete the app. Okay, so I go here and I'm going to delete this application and uninstall. Okay, so now if I click run, so now the app is fresh, manifest. It doesn't have any permissions yet. So I click on request permission, and if you allow, then you're good to go. It's gonna print the granted, right? So basically I don't want to allow, I'll just click on deny. Click again. Let me show the logcat so that you could see the logcat also. Let me just bring it back a little bit here. Let's say you see here when I click on request permission, I'm getting the rationale, right? When I click on OK, in this rationale is what we are showing up here, right? We click OK, and now it's showing me this. I'll say deny. Now click on it again. Click OK. I'm clicking deny. It keep on showing the dialog, no problems, and you could see that show rationale is always coming in as true, right? Now click on deny. This is Android version 24, right? So basically click OK and click deny. It's still showing until I allow it, right? So now what happens if I click on this button, right? And I click on deny. See what's going to happen? Click on deny, and you could see here that it's saying false. The false is what? The false is this. This means that should request permission rationale will come back as false. So you are saying don't show me this again. Now the problem is that what happens if you are asking the user not to show you this again, and this is what cause a problem. This means that the app you need to tell the user that this app now will not function, or this feature will not work, and you need to also to tell the user where to go to update it. So basically the idea here is that what you would do is that if should show rationale is false, right? So basically if it is false, right? So basically here, if this is false, right, then this means that the user has exhausted all the options of denied the permission several times, right? They denied the permission several times, and they also have chosen not to show again. And in that case, we need to tell the user about this scenario and what to do, right? We need to take them to the application settings. So let me copy this. I'll do here a log d, and I'm gonna do this here, and this should show rationale. This is what should show rationale is value is, and we're good to go here. Okay, so that's version 24. So other versions have different ways of doing this. So you could see when I click, let me delete this, it says it's not granted, and this one is false because I picked don't show again, right? All right, so now let's say if we run this on version, let's say 29, and run this. So this is 29, I run this, I click on the permission request, it's showing me this. Let's say I click on deny, and you see here it's not granted, right? And let me pick 29, and you could see it's true, but it's not granted, right? So click on it again. Now the rationale is showing. I click OK. Now you see there is another option that's showing at the bottom. It looks a little bit different. Let's say I click on deny and don't ask again, and what you see is that don't show rationale now is false. So when you click on it again, it just goes directly into the result, and it's showing it as false, right? Very similar approach, but it happens after you click. You don't have to check a box, right? This is 29. Now if you look at 31, Android 31, we run it again. Here it is. So it's running now under, no, let's make sure it's running under 31. Here it is, and here is the emulator. Now when I click on request permission, it's showing this. Let's say I click on, I have to pick the right log here. Let me delete this, and I click on don't allow, and you see here it's saying don't allow, it's not granted, and should show request permission rationale to true, right? When I click here, we're showing it here, and I click OK. Now I click on don't allow again, it's not granted. See, if you don't allow it 2 times, now the don't show rationale is false. You click on it again, and you see it goes directly into here and show rationale is false. So basically the idea is, if don't show rationale is false, this means and it is not granted, this means that what we need to do is we need to tell the user how to go to the settings page of the application. And basically the settings page is, I'll show you the settings page, but it's they go to the settings page of the application and allow it there, right? And, so basically we need to take them to the settings page. In order to do that, we need to create an intent, a specific intent that will take the user to the to that page. So basically that intent, the action is settings. It's very customized kind of thing. So action, application settings detail, and basically you need to also tell it which application you are interested in. So you pass on a URI dot parse, and you give it the package. I know it's very customized, but anyhow, so package. And we tell it that it's the build config dot application ID. All right, so here it is. So that's this is the intent, and then you just start activity and pass it the intent. So now see what's going to happen now is we can have a dialog here where we tell the user, oh, this application needs this permission, you need to give us access to that permission. So what I could do is I could create a dialog. I can show a custom dialog, like for example, show a custom dialog, and I could say, for example, custom dialog, and I could say, for example, the user clicks OK to access the application. So basically I go here and say, for example, okay. Okay, so this is 1, 2, and this is the cancel, and maybe null here. So anyhow, when they click, I could go and say go to settings, right? So something like this, and it will trigger that intent. So now run this again. So when I click on request permission, I show this. I need a message. So basically I need to say camera permission. I could say, for example, the app needs the camera permission to function. For example, please go and allow this permission in the app settings. Okay, so let's run it again. Here it is. You click on request permission. You're telling them you need that permission. You click on go to settings. It triggers the intent, and you see here that our application is called permissions. You see here the application is called permissions. It takes you here. You click on permissions, and now you can click on the camera permission and allow while using the app, for example, or ask every time, right? For example, so now this enables you to allow the application. Now we can go back to your application. Now when I click on request, see here, when I click on request, it's asking me, so you are resetting it. So let's say I would don't allow, it's not granted, and you see it refreshes the whole thing again. Go again, I click here, and ultimately I will allow it here, and you can see here it's granted. So you could see that how we are doing the permission request, and I did also show you how to do the permission request on different for different versions of Android. It's a little bit different, but again, at the end of the day, they function very similarly. You first check to see if you have permission or no. If you have permission, you go ahead and use that resource. If not, you check to see if the rationale, should you show the rationale. If you have to show the rationale, then you show a dialog with the information why you need that permission, and then request the permission. If you don't have to show the rationale, then you just request the permission. Now, when the user grants, you are here, then it's granted. You can use that resource. Otherwise, you go in here. If the should show request permission rationale is false, and it is not granted, and the permission is not granted, then there is a problem here. This means that the user has decided not to grant you this for good, and in that case you need to tell the user to go to the settings and enable it there, and you do that through by creating this kind of intent, which is very customized. This takes you to the detailed settings, and then this is a link inside that settings to the application, so that it opens that application window, right? And you start activity, and that's it. So basically that's what we are doing here. Straightforward. You are requesting a single permission. Please let me know if you have any questions.